welcome back everyone to another Kerbal Space Program video going live on the 20th of December 2025, which means we're nearly into the late 2020s already. How crazy is that? But crucially, we are very close to Christmas, and so many YouTubers, including myself, often do like a Christmas special themed video this time of year, and I thought, why not do a mission that is somewhat sort of related to Christmas? Namely, we're going to be visiting Eeloo, the Christmassiest planet in Kerbal Space Program, because there's a little Easter egg on Eeloo. There's like a snowman made out of rusted rocket parts that you can go and find and visit. And I thought, let's go and visit the snowman, but with my newly installed Kerbal Konstructs mod, I can spawn in another snowman, like build another snowman on Eeloo next to the other snowman so he has a friend. Which there was varying degrees of success in this mission, as you'll see as the video continues, but that is the thesis of what we're doing. So I have built the Eeloo ship, as you can see. I built the Eeloo lander in like a separate build, so I could just see the delta V levels of the lander without being like interfered with by the delta V levels of the main ship. That's now added, and yeah, the ship is kind of mostly stock, but I have got a couple of parts from Netea's station, Stocker-like station parts mod Redux. I think it's got a really long convoluted name, but I think it's like that. Just because they look nice, they look nicer than the stock parts, and you know, makes the video look a little bit more different. I build a lot of stock vessels, so it's always nice using parts mods from time to time. And yeah, one of the things, it's got a really cool, like, rotating, inflating gravity ring. You can make gravity rings in stock Kerbal Space Program. I've certainly built my fair share, but the ones in Netea's mod are far superior because they work much better for things like during time warp, and they have proper interiors, and they're really, really good. So I'll do a little tour of the ship once we're up and once we're traveling through space. Now, speaking of space, we're going to go to the map screen now with a lovely picture of the space. So we need to time warp to a Kerbin to Eeloo transfer window. So the Kerbin to Eeloo optimal transfer window is where if you draw a line from Kerbin to the sun to Eeloo, the angle that line forms at the sun should be about 101 degrees. I just eyeballed it. I don't think I got it completely right because we don't get a very good Eeloo encounter. I would recommend using a proper mod like transfer window calculator or just the in-game Kerbal alarm clock feature, but whatever. Here we are zooming down. Oh, there's my little booster I landed in last week's video. This is obviously my new revamped Kerbal Space Center, which we're now going to depart from in this rocket. Off we go. Yeah, the frame rate, not the best, but we can use the power of video editing to speed things up a little bit to make the experience a little bit smoother for you guys watching. And yeah, there is the rocket there, so not really much to talk about with the actual construction of it. Just uses the big history Saturn V parts to form the first stage, and then the second stage is the Rhino engine, and then that's basically it. It's a big dumb booster. It's not a booster that lands back at the Kerbal Space Center, because I forgot that I now have Falcon 9 style landing pads, so I really should be making better use of them. I kind of like the idea of never recovering the landed boosters, like, you know, when it lands, you press recover or whatever, just leaving them there and over time just watching them build up, which is probably not a very good idea because it will dramatically affect performance. Or I guess that's really just a me problem, isn't it? Because I can just speed footage up to kind of iron out any frame rate issues, but I don't know, maybe it's food for thought. I'll give it some thought. I mean, that being said, a lot of my Falcon 9 style missions involve making a quick save at the point of stage separation, landing the booster, and then to load that quick save again, and then doing the rest of the mission and expending the booster, because you can't really do a Falcon 9 style mission very easily in Kerbal Space Program. I guess you can do it with mods. Maybe I should look into that. You can do it. Like last week when I landed the booster you just saw, I did do things like without quick saving and stuff, but fly missions like that is much more inefficient, and I don't really like doing it that way. Maybe I'm just very set in my ways. I don't know. Anyway, here we are staging and igniting the second stage engine, that Rhino as I mentioned. And yeah, this is just going to basically get us practically into a stable orbit. Not completely, because when I stage it, I don't want that second stage to be left floating in space forever. I want it to fall back into the atmosphere and be destroyed and leave space uncontaminated. So then we can just circularize using the main ship, which is currently covered by that fairing, but I'm sure we'll be deploying it in just a second as our fuel levels rapidly approach the zero mark of that second stage engine. There we are. So now, I'm going to point ourselves prograde just so that it looks better when we deploy the fairings. Gotta think about the video. So there goes the main fairing. There goes the launch escape system tower. And am I going to detach the lower engine stage? There we are. So, as you can see, we can't ignite our nuclear engines of our main vessel just yet because the lander is in the way. I've done like an Apollo-style setup where the lander sits just below the main mothership, and then we need to do kind of again, an Apollo-style reconfiguration of things to dock the lander with the front of the vessel. But first things first, as you can see, we are inflating that beautiful gravity ring and extending our main solar panels. I mean, the main power source of this ship are the 4 RTGs. You can kind of see them on the liquid fuel tanks, just because solar panels are very, very ineffective at Eeloo. Like, Eeloo is very far away from the sun, and so solar panels don't really work very well out there. So the general recommendation is to use RTGs rather than solar panels. But I don't know, the solar panels kind of make it look a bit more spaceshipy, I think. And I don't know, I think they look nice, and they do provide a amount of power, right? They are the big solar panels after all, so they do generate quite a lot. Now, I did make the mistake. I realized I probably shouldn't have inflated the ring just yet because we need to get the lander to the front of the ship. And now, I guess we could get it kind of further away, and then we could go past the edge of the ring. But I thought, oh, you know what? Maybe it'll be more exciting, more dangerous. This is the Kerbal way, after all, to kind of go through the rotating ring to get to the front of the ship. And there we are. Perfect. So we just got to get JDOS. Do you think that's JDOS or HEDOS Kerman? I'm going to go with JDOS Kerman. JDOS Kerman's going to skillfully pilot the ship, the lander, I should say, back to the ship. Now, on board the ship, we have Bill Kerman and Marin Kerman. As you know, Bill Kerman is an engineer, as is Marin Kerman. You've got to be very careful when building ships with things like the gravity ring from Natea's parts mod, because you need at least two engineers on board your ship in order to inflate the gravity ring. So I did like a test run of the rocket before I filmed the launch to make sure it all worked. And when I tried to expand the gravity ring, it wouldn't work because I had a pilot, a scientist, and an engineer on board when I needed 2 engineers. So yeah, we've got a pilot with us because it felt like appropriate, and we've got 2 engineers. It's a shame we don't have a scientist, but I guess we do have a fully unlocked tech tree, and the aim of this particular expedition is not necessarily to gather science, although we do have a science junior on board the lander. It's to build stuff. It's to construct a snowman on Eeloo. So if anything, we are better suited to having more engineers with us this time around. Or I think when I do the Eeloo landing, it's the pilot that goes down to the surface with one of the engineers. And when I say one of the engineers, I of course mean Bill Kerman, big celebrity. How could we just leave him on board the ship? So there we are. We have now circularized in low Kerbin orbit. So it's time to zoom all the way out with another view of space there. I don't know why I worded it so weird earlier. So you can select Eeloo as our target and then plan our maneuver node. Now, as you can see, it's going to be a massive burn. What's that burn time? It's creeping up almost 20 minutes. So we're going to actually split this into 3 like I normally do for these big, long burns. So we're going to do one burn that's going to get us halfway towards the edge of Kerbin's sphere of influence. Then a second burn that's going to get our apoapsis basically to the edge, but not quite out of Kerbin's sphere of influence. And then we'll do one final massive burn that's going to do the rest of the burn to get us all the way up to kind of Eeloo's height, or at least our apoapsis to the height of Eeloo's orbit around the sun. So here we are, commencing burn 1 of 3. Not the quickest, but we could again use the power of video editing to speed things up for you guys. We can see that gravity ring spin up, and it's spinning up ludicrously fast for you guys because obviously I've got physics time warp set to ×4, and the video is playing back 4 times faster than normal. So yeah, very, very fast. Obviously in reality you can see how quickly the Kerbal portraits are moving around to give you a sense of how quick this has been accelerated. Yeah, back to normal speed. As you can see, the ring does actually spin at a fairly reasonable RPM. So yeah, that's one of the 3 burns completed. Now we can plot burn 2 of 3. That was a real struggle, that sentence, for some reason. So yeah, we can just time warp around, get a lovely view of Kerbin just there with those beautiful clouds. And yeah, get ready to commence the second burn, which isn't quite as long as the first burn, but still a fairly big burn nonetheless. I don't know if I have anything else to really add to that in terms of describing the burn. But yeah, 2025. It feels like this year. It feels like no time has passed between like 2021 and to 2025. I feel like it's just gone by in like a nanosecond. I think we had I think a lot of us experienced a bit of a, what they call the COVID time warp, where just like 2020 to 2022 just feels like one just big one giant year, basically. But even like 2022, 2023, 2024, they've all flown by. It's been crazy. Like I turned 30 last year, and my channel turned 10 years old. Technically, it's a little bit older than 10 years because I made this account like in 2013 just for like Google Plus or whatever it was at the time, and then I uploaded like a couple of stupid videos. But my first KSP video, which was like the start of this career, if you want to call it that, was 10 years ago, April 2015. So already we're closer to the 11-year anniversary now than we were to the 10-year anniversary. So yeah, crazy. How have you guys had a good year? You know, we're now approaching the second half of the 2020 decade, which is insane. Do you guys remember, like, it feels like yesterday when there were all those conversations, people arguing online about how because when 2020 rolled around, we were all celebrating like it's the start of a new decade, and everyone was like, oh, 2021's the start of the new decade, 2020 is still part of this decade. And these people were incorrect, by the way, because, well, I don't know, like, would you say 1990 is part of the 80s? No, it's the beginning of the 90s, right? And so I remember that being a big age. Do you remember that? People were like really attached their personalities to that little debate. Yeah, that's crazy. I was going through some old photos actually because my phone ran out of memory, and so I had to I just basically took all my photos and videos and just copied and pasted, cut them, pasted them onto like my computer. I'm just gonna go refine them. But yeah, just seeing the pictures from like 2018, 2019, it's like, wow, it doesn't feel that long ago, and yet it was a lifetime ago. This commentary went a bit off the rails, didn't it? Just looking back at the screen, we have our Eeloo encounter. Eeloo takes a fair amount of delta V to get to because you got to do this big inclination change, and also it's very far away. I did consider leaving my Outer Planets mod installed. So these days, I generally run with Outer Planets installed because it's great. But with Outer Planets, one of the things it does, it actually gets rid of Eeloo completely as a planet, and it makes it a moon of Saturn, or Sarnus is what it's called in the Outer Planets mod. And I don't know, I just felt like I wanted to visit Eeloo as a planet for showcasing this particular Easter egg. And I am running the Parallax mod. Some people might be wondering, oh, with Parallax Continued installed, will it mess up the Easter egg? Like, it won't be visible anymore, because it does dramatically change the surface of Eeloo. But I'm pleased to say that the snowman is still very much findable with Parallax installed. So here we are doing a little tour. I don't know which Kerbal I'm controlling, and I don't think it says on the screen which it is, but one of the Kerbals is doing the tours. We've got our little, that's like a little habitation module just there. Now we come to the main event, which is the big centrifuge again, which is part of Netea's Stocker-like station parts mod. It's got such a long, stupid name, but you know, if you just Google some combination of those words, it should come up online. And there we are. And what we can do with the, oh, by the way, I'm using the free IVA mod. That's what lets me move around the ship like this, and we can pick up things like this fire extinguisher and fire it. Have a fun old time there. Yeah, free IVA. What a mod. It really, I don't know why it was never made, like, put into the stock game. I guess it is a little bit glitchy here and then, and maybe the devs just felt it wasn't really a requirement, but wow, I will never play KSP ever again without free IVA installed. Unless for some reason I chose to play the console game, which obviously you can't mod. So here we got a little habitation module just here with some beds. Lovely and cozy. I feel like I said this was a tour and then just started to not talk about what was on screen. Then we've got a little office just here with some nice windows, some more beds. I mean, we've got a lot of beds considering we only have 3 crew members on board, so I guess we can just pretend there are other things here, like these are all bays that contain like board games, maybe. And yeah, another little copy of the room we had before. Those windows seem to be a bit more opaque for some reason. And then we have the Gaim with a couple of exercise bikes. And actually that's it, those are the only exercise equipment here. And some things in boxes. I would be a terrible ambassador. If I was ever sent to the International Space Station for some reason and it was like filmed to be on like an episode of This Week at NASA or something, I would be a horrible ambassador for things like that. Anyway, I got bored, so I crossfaded to us time warping to perform that gigantic burn that's going to put us on an encounter course with Eeloo. So yeah, here you're on the map screen. Just wait until we get to that maneuver node. And I think I overshot it by a couple of days. Kerbals just asleep, I guess, so they didn't notice. How many years has it been? 3 years, 110 days. Big old time commitment for the Kerbals. Let's just speed the footage up to be massively faster now to get through this burn because it took ages. It's always funny watching the gravity ring just spin out of control like that. Well, not out of control, but just spin to such an absurd speed. during those things. So as you can see, we didn't actually get an encounter with big burns like that. The maneuver node is never really that accurate, but the orbit you end up with is seldom the same as what the maneuver node tool said you would end up with. But as you can see, it's only a very small 13 meters per second of delta V required correction burn to put ourselves back on that Eeloo encounter. So right before the burn completes, I like to just close the maneuver and just eyeball it, because as I said, the maneuver tool is not the most accurate when it comes to predicting things. And there we are. We have a periapsis around Eeloo. How exciting is that? So I just used RCS to try and force our orbit to be a bit close to the surface of Eeloo. Couldn't manage it, so now I'm making a maneuver node. I think that was at the descending node. I can't remember now. But I'm making a maneuver node here just to kind of make our orbit line pass right by the surface of Eeloo for a couple of reasons. Firstly, makes the video better, right, if you can see Eeloo during that big long burn where otherwise not a lot is really happening on screen, and that helps me because people will like the video. If you haven't liked the video and you're enjoying it so far, then remember to leave a like down below. Helps me out. But it also has a practical reason. The burn is marginally more efficient if we're burning close to Eeloo. Actually, that's the end of that sentence. Close to Eeloo. That being said, it's called the O-berth effect. With Eeloo's gravity, it's very low, so the O-berth effect isn't really that great. That's why I don't really have that much shame in doing a slightly, maybe inefficient journey to the Eeloo. Same applies to Moho, really. The O-berth effect may as well not exist when circularizing at Moho. So for things like transfer windows, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's even necessary to launch at a specific transfer window if we're going to Moho. Just go and encounter it as if you were docking with a spacecraft in orbit. Maybe someone could crunch the numbers and prove me wrong, but I think the actual delta V savings, if you use the O-berth effect for Moho, and I guess Eeloo, are so negligible it doesn't really matter. But again, I haven't done the maths. Maybe someone will do the numbers and be like, actually, you would save a bucket load of fuel if you did things more efficiently. And then I will try and learn from my mistakes and grow and improve as we go into the new year of 2026. So there, we're back on the subject of me reminiscing about the onward march of time's arrow. Cruel mistress. Okay, there's Eeloo. Aha, we can steer things back on track. So there it is below us. It looks really, really cool. It's amazing. I'm using the mod Parallax Continued by Links. All my mods are all the visual mods are listed in the description below, as is the case for all of my videos. But that's why my Eeloo looks really, really good. It's because I'm using Parallax. Brilliant mod. And there we are. So now we're circularized. Well, we're not really circularized, but I was happy with this. We need to go ahead and land. Now, as you can see, I've already landed on Eeloo before in this save file. This is my Lowne Aerospace 3 save file. So one of my missions I did to unlock the tech tree, I went to Eeloo and planted a flag. And I have this picture, which I can put on screen right now. That's this is where the Eeloo snowman is. And I'm like, I'm just going to use this picture and be like, what are the pioneers of exploration, and just use this picture like a map to try and find the snowman myself. This is really dumb. Don't do this. Instead, I would recommend using KerbNet to locate the snowman yourself. I've done a tutorial on how to use KerbNet where you can just locate Easter eggs using probe cores. I don't have a probe core with me, so can't do that now, but that's how I would recommend finding the Easterman, the snowman on the surface of Eeloo, because he's very small. It took me ages to find him, but I'll talk about that later. It won't be ages for you guys. I cut out a lot of the faff, but yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare doing it this way. Hopefully I'll remember to put a link in the video description of my tutorial on how to find Easter eggs, because to be honest, I always forget, so I use my own tutorial a lot, because I always forget how I actually do it, because I'm stupid and never need to do. You use it or you lose it, right? I never use ComNet, so I always forget how it works and its little nuances. So yeah, I use my tutorial all the time, and it works for me. So there you are. Obama awarding Obama meme. Put that there. That's me recommending a tutorial that I made because it helps me. So yeah. There you go. Anyway, we must now turn our attention to landing on the surface of Eeloo. So I'm aiming for that little area that my ship in that little picture was landed in. I basically cheated it there using the coordinates of the snowman, and then I took a screenshot and I was like, right, I'm now going to try and find this location again with my special picture. The craft there is called Jet 1000. If anyone knows what that reference is, you'll instantly become BFF status. Maybe there's more than one Jet 1000 in pop culture, but Yes. It's from a BBC show. Great show. Brilliant show. One of the best. Now, the process of landing on Eeloo is pretty easy. It takes marginally more delta V to land on than the Mun. I can't remember what the exact requirement for delta V is to land on the Mun, but Eeloo takes 620 meters per second to, land on from orbit, and then again to reach orbit from the surface. So we are touching down. I moved the camera about a great deal more than I normally do when performing the landing here, because I was frantically searching the surface, trying to find the snowman. And it was about here when I realized, I may have messed up here by not bringing a probe core and the ability to scan the surface, because the surface is covered in ground scatter, thanks to the amazing Parallax mod. It's a brilliant mod, Links, but it really ain't helping me here. Now, I concluded that I was a little bit further east from where I needed to be for where the snowman is. So I took Bill Kerman out on a series of eastward expeditions, trying to find the snowman. I basically made a quick save, flew east for a bit till I ran out of fuel, and then reloaded and tried again. And so this was the successful trip where I found the snowman. And we can play a game now. See if you spot the snowman when I spotted the snowman. So we're coming up to it. It is quite small, so it's quite subtle. And obviously YouTube does mush the quality when it comes to videos, so you might not see it until I zoom in. But, did you see it? Wait, there it is. Have you seen it? Hey, should we zoom in? There it is. I still don't really know how I was able to spot it, but there we are. I quickly flipped myself around, and now I'm going to fly back to it. I was like, yeah, it's kind of easy to see now. I wasn't really looking for anything that looked like a snowman, just a tall, thin protrusion from the surface that didn't look like any of the ground scatter rocks. So how much EVA propellants have we got? 1.51 units left. More than enough to hop over to the snowman, and then we can fly the lander. Once Bill is there, we then have a physical target reticule that we can create and fly the lander there nice and accurately. So yeah, there's the snowman there. This was such a don't do what I did. Using a screenshot. Definitely track the snowman from orbit using a probe core, and it'll be much easier. But there it is. How many of you knew this thing was here? It was like this year I found out there was an Eeloo snowman Easter egg made out of rusted rocket parts. I think it was added in the anniversary update where the squad added loads of Easter eggs, like the Lathe whale skeleton and all that. But yeah, I think it's pretty cute. So I've switched to, I have now switched to the lander so we can get it over to Bill. So now we can set Bill as our target, and we should be able to see him if we press F4. There we go. We can now see him, so we have a physical thing we can fly towards. It's not a game of guesswork. The reason I was using Bill Kerman rather than the lander to do those expeditions east, to try and find the snowman, is because Bill Kerman essentially has unlimited delta V, right? Because he can get back on the lander, and it will fully refuel his jetpack, I always call it a jetpack and it's not, but you know what I mean, the EVA pack. Whereas the lander, it has finite fuel. We can't regenerate the fuel. I guess we could have used a Kraken drive or a Cal overclock, but it's not really the spirit of things, is it? I'm not sure if save scumming with Bill Kerman is in the spirit of things either, but, is it in the Christmas spirit of things? I don't even know what that means, but this is kind of like a Christmas special video, right? I don't know if I'm going to make a video next week, because, so YouTube is not my job. I work in a hospital, an eye department, and so people don't stop getting eye injuries and stuff over Christmas. So I'm working Christmas. I'm not working Christmas Day, but I'm working Christmas Eve, for example. So I am busy next week, and then I have Christmas stuff to do with family and things. So I'm gonna be busy next week during the week. What I'm saying, so I may not have time to make a video. So this might be the last video of mine of this year. I mean, I usually do a video where I reflect on my favorite moments of the year, but those always do really badly in terms of views, so I don't really count them as canonical videos of mine. They don't get a spot in the Kerbal Space Program videos playlist. I think, I don't know, maybe I do add them. I'm not sure. Anyway, JDOS Kerman is here, joining Bill, so we can waddle her over and. Yeah, I also ran a little science experiment there. I wrote down what it said because it closed really quickly, so I took a screenshot of it. And I could read to you what the Science Junior said. So it said, material study from Eeloo's Midlands. Some of the fine crystals lining Eeloo enter the materials bay. It also appears that some of the samples have become more conductive in the extreme cold. So there we are. We've saved that, getting us 375 sweet science points. And there we are. We have deployed the Lowne Aerospace flag. And now it's time to build the snowman. Now I had to go through all the other Easter eggs to try and find the snowman model, so I deliberately cut away from those. I didn't want them to be a spoiler in case people don't like seeing the Easter eggs necessarily. And there it is, sort of. I don't know why it's a bit cursed, because all the other Easter eggs I loaded trying to find the snowman Easter egg, they all looked fine. It was just the snowman that was broken. Maybe I should have F5'd F9. Oh well, you live and learn. Maybe that would have fixed it, I'm not sure. And those grey polygons that are jutting out of the snowman, they are solid. They're not just not solid basically. So I'm not really sure why the snowman model didn't load properly, but look at that! The snowman now sort of has a little friend on Eeloo, so he can be a little bit less lonely for this Christmas, and indeed all Christmases going forward. And I feel like we've done a good thing. We've done a good thing this year, guys. So, like and subscribe so we can carry on doing more good things. And, yeah, as you can see, I'm just spectacularly failing to get Bill on board the lander just there. Maybe I'll do better flying Jados Kerman on board the lander. Let's go and have a look, shall we? Yeah, just floating her over there. Oh, I did a crossfade because I was just checking to see if the second snowman was indeed solid, and it was. So, yeah, and then once again, I crashed into the lander and fell over. So now we'll just speed the footage up to get onto the lander quickly, and we can board and waddle her over to her pilot's chair. And there we are. I guess we can close the bay doors. Would make sense, right? Because, of course, that materials study said that some of the fine crystals lining Eeloo entered the materials bay, and therefore they must have entered the sides of the capsule as well. We don't want them rupturing the RTG or anything which is inside the other storage compartment of the lander. So yeah, we've closed the windows, close the doors, and we can think about going back to the mothership. So there it is, kind of just ahead of us on the map screen. We can launch and go there, I suppose. So I'm sort of using the target indicator on the nav board to kind of show me where I should be pointing so that we match inclinations with the mothership, because it's not in an equatorial orbit, nor are we launching from the equator. So yeah, as you can see, it's a little bit of an aggressive turn actually. So I turned a bit more towards the 90-degree vector, kind of level ourselves out so we can encounter the mothership. I'm anticipating we're going to end up behind the mothership because it was ahead of us when we launched. So I'm actually going to make sure my apoapsis isn't quite as high as our mothership's orbits, that we're in a lower orbit than the mothership's, that our orbit is faster, and therefore we will be able to catch up. So if we create another maneuver node here, we should, if we now raise our apoapsis there, get a nice close separation. There we are, just basically fiddling around with the prograde, retrograde, radial in, radial out markers until we get those little encounter nodes to be nice and close. Ooh, there they are. It's all coming together. Perfect stuff. But yeah, are there any other good Christmas special ideas you guys would have for maybe a next year Kerbal Space Program video? I always try to do a Christmas special, but I don't know. I always struggle to think of ideas. I think once I delivered a Christmas present to a base on Minmus. Another one I delivered a present to a base on Eeloo. Another one I made an SSTO that looked like Santa and his reindeer, and I was quite proud of that one. I think that looked quite nice. And I don't recall any other Christmas specials I've done or New Year specials I've done. I used to do this big montage thing, but they took so long to edit, and I kind of ran out of music I wanted to use in those, so I don't really do those anymore. But yeah, whilst I was rambling just there, we have a nice close encounter. There it is, getting closer and closer. And there we are. So now that we're very, very close, we can kill off all of our speed by making sure our nav ball is set to target, and then burn retrograde. I actually overshot it a little bit just there, and that basically means that our lander will therefore be stationary in space relative to the target, so we can dock them together nice and easily, which I'm going to do using my tried and true tested method of having the lander target to the mothership's docking port, then have the mothership do the same for the lander, and then hold auto, press the auto SAS target button, and then the ships will just maintain alignment and they'll come together easily. It's great. And yeah, the Kerbal on board, whose name I missed now, but she was doing a little dance. She was obviously happy to see her friends getting closer and closer. It's kind of ironic that I've got that big habitation section on this ship, but actually in reality the Kerbals never leave the command pod for this mission. Just use your imagination, just pretend that they were like coming and going from the command pod into the gravity ring, and probably into like stasis chambers as well for like, you know, suspended animation, because it's been 11 years now at this point they've been in space, which is a crushingly long time. You know, they don't have much to keep themselves occupied. You know, they have the gym with like 2 exercise bikes, some boxes of stuff, and lots of beds. I gave them a Nintendo Switch. I forgot to pack a charger, so that must have lasted maybe like 4 hours tops. I don't know any games that can be beaten in that amount of time. In fact, wasn't there like, I feel like there was this game, it might have been a Sonic game that came out a few years ago, and it was really, really short. It was so short that people could, I think it was like Sonic Frontiers, the 2017, not Sonic Frontiers. Oh, the 2017 game that was rubbish, where you could make your own Sonic and they all looked really weird. Oh my gosh, what was it called? Sonic Forces, that was it. Yeah, Sonic Forces could literally be beaten in less than 2 hours, and that's like the Steam refund window. So people were like buying Sonic Forces, beating the game, and then getting it refunded because they beat it in like an hour and a half. I'm pretty sure it was Sonic Forces. Yeah, so they could have beaten Sonic Forces potentially twice on their Nintendo Switch. Did it come out for Switch? I don't know. I don't care. This is just a bit for the video anyway. Yeah, I thought I'd get in the new Metroid game actually, because that came out like last week, didn't it? I heard it's not that great though. Like, I've heard it's got kind of mixed reviews, and it's not really as good as the original 3 Prime games, because they wanted to make it more accessible for people that had never played Metroid Prime. I love Metroid Prime. I've beaten it twice, I think. I beat it on the GameCube, and I beat it on the Switch, like the remaster. And I love it, and I wanted Metroid Prime 4 to be like that, and apparently it's much more linear, and there's a really dumb, like, open hub world where you have to drive around on a motorbike for hours collecting crystals. It looks bizarre, really. So I'm not really sure I'm going to get it. This might be the excuse I need to buy Metroid Dread, though. I've been kind of I've been waiting for it to go on sale, even though Nintendo games never go on sale. I am never buying a Nintendo console ever again. I'm just sick of their business practices. But yeah, maybe it'll go on sale, like, I don't know. But I'm thinking of getting Metroid Dread, basically. I know I said a few videos ago I've started playing Witcher 3. I've kind of got, it's a bit, I don't know if it's really for me. I'm kind of bored of it. Like, every setting looks the same. I mean, I've only played it for like 10 hours or maybe, but every single village is all kind of the same, and it's all, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know, that's not really fair. I don't know, I'm just not really gelling with it. I'm not sure why. I actually started playing Dark Souls 3 again, because I wanted to feel something. So, I've been playing Dark Souls 3 again. I love Dark Souls 3. It's the best game ever. It's funny, I could never really get into Elden Ring, or I gave Dark Souls 2 a good go, but I just couldn't in the end. I had to give that one up. But Dark Souls 3, I've played it countless times. It's probably like my 10th playthrough at this point. That's a glowing endorsement there for Dark Souls 3. There's a Steam Winter Sale on right now, so get yourself a Christmas present this year in the form of Dark Souls 3. Or, you know, Kerbal Space Program. If you don't own this game, it's weird that you got this far into the video. But yeah, you should buy Kerbal Space Program. Don't get KSP 2, obviously. Get KSP 1 with the DLC. And, you know, with the money saved, getting it on the discount, you can get Blackrock's Volumetric Clouds, and then it makes the game, like, way better. You know, it's like, you know, it's like it's the best mod. Okay, it makes the game just look so good. Anyway, example of that, we can see the lovely blue marble Kerbin coming ahead. Yes, we are home after 16 years, nearly 17 years. We've arrived back at our home planet, and I decided to give our... Look how happy they are down there. I decided to give our Kerbals a little fireworks display to welcome them back. And by fireworks display, I mean keep their capsule in very close proximity to the rest of the ship while it burns up and explodes. On the heat of re-entry, we're coming in very fast, almost 5 kilometers per second. Very, very fast. So the atmosphere should make short work of destroying the lander and the rest of the craft, I guess. It's kind of sad. That lander served us well, but all things must come to an end. And the end for that is basically now we've entered the atmosphere. So let's watch things. Oh, it's getting a bit glowy. Lots of explosions. Michael Bay would be very proud of this re-entry. Those nuclear engines have separated untold amounts of nuclear fuel have been spread across the atmosphere. In retrospect, this maybe was not the best idea. We are above the grasslands biome as well, not even like Point Nemo equivalent on Kerbin. So, yeah. Oh well, it's all gone now. And then we can just, you know, watch the capsule withstand the effects of re-entry itself, thanks to the ablative heat shield we've got on there. And look at that. Barely used any ablator. We've still got well over 3/4 of the ablative material left. So, yeah, the ablative heat shields are really overpowered in Kerbal Space Program. And there go the main chutes. And once they've fully opened, we can slow our descent speed down marginally by detaching the heat shield, therefore lowering the weight of the capsule. So there we're going to go from 7.3 meters per second down to 6.1. So, yeah, not nothing, right? And then we can watch the heat shield explode inexplicably. I guess it didn't explode visually, but you would have heard the explosion sound, hopefully. Yes. Great. Well, thanks for watching. we're back on Kerbin. We have completed the mission. Thank you so much to the people on the right-hand side of the screen. They are my Patreon supporters and my YouTube channel members who really make all of this content possible. They got their own version of this video with no ads or anything, and the craft file in the description. So if you're one of those people watching that video, check it out in the links below. And that's it. I hope everyone has a great Christmas. I don't know if I'm doing a video next week, so this might be my last one of the year. So enjoy Christmas, and you guys, bye.